Linda Nisi, thank you tonight. Well, we've heard from a forensic pathologist. We've heard from a hitman. Let's hear more now from a politician as well as an expert within the intelligence space. We're talking now to the MMC for community safety in the city of Johannesburg, and that is Dr. Mgcini Tshwaku and Mike Bolhuis, specialist violent and economic crime investigator. Good to have you both, and thank you very much for your time. The question we are asking and has been asked in that particular insert. We'll start with you, Doc. What is killing our people? What is driving this murder rate? We know that males in the ages of 25 to 40 are dying, and this is mostly dying through guns, knives, and poisoning. So what is really killing them? Is it economic issues? Is it politics? Is it domestic issues?
Look, I think that, thank you very much. Good evening to you, Batao, and your listeners and the viewers at home. Look, the analysis that we had at the Department of Public Safety in the city of Johannesburg, we found that it's a combination of many factors. Also, is the socio-economic situation that is happening into the country. Our youth, they have no jobs. There's a high consumption of alcohol, because if you still remember, when we had a lot of killings at in Diepsloot, one of the things that one of the strategies that we've implemented as a public safety was to ensure that all places of entertainment, especially taverns, we actually closed them down very urgently. And then those that were they were in compliance with the Fire Brigade Act and all those things, those ones, we ensure that at least by 2 o'clock they should be closed. So we found that when people are drunk and they go to these places, then you find that there's a lot of violence that is actually happening there. And also it's like robberies that are there. People are not working, and there's some robbery that is actually happening. And also assassinations, as you can see. If you saw that there were political assassinations, you saw I think Mpho Motami was an Alexandra Chamber of Commerce business person, and also Tebogo, who was also a person who was actually working at the Rand Water. So you've got political assassinations and killings, you've got taxi violence that are there killing. And then what we've seen that in Johannesburg has been on the rise is the killing due to the tenders, the procurement, individuals that are in the positions where they can sign tenders and all of that. It's increasing actually quite very, very high. So this is what we've determined as actually being the issue. That's why, if you remember last year on the 9th of November, due to the lots of problems that were happening and the crime that is in the city, people were really crying. We had to establish a new JMPD technical reaction unit, which is now a crime-busting unit at the JMPD. And it's one of the things that we have communicated, the success that they've done, because correctly so, people are being killed, quite a lot of them using guns. And then that unit, from November the 9th up until the end of May, they've confiscated 129 firearms. And those are booked with actually SEBs. That means that there's a lot of circulation of guns within, this community. That's why
I want to explore that a little bit more on what we need to do in terms of firearms and in terms of policy and so on and so forth. But let's bring in Mike here as well. I mean, from your analysis, Mike, how much of this is one, domestic violence related to drinking? How much of this is opportunistic crimes, like one would want to be mugging, taking off cell phones, they end up stabbing somebody to death? How much of it is made up of fighting for the real economy, of tenders related to politics and so on and so forth?
Yes. So the previous gentleman explained quite an array of situations, and it's all true. So it's very difficult to say that certain areas there's more crimes being committed by people amongst themselves in families or in businesses or wherever. I think the rise of crime everywhere is because of a mindset that crime pays. You can commit crime and you can get away with it. There is no fear of the authorities, and there is a mindset of that, you know what, I can sort things violently. So it's, as we would call it, the year of the gun or the knife. And if you have the instability that we've had in our country, which we still have, the uncertainty, and the fact that there's no real proper safety and security systems in place, there's no government that really cares and protect and serve all the authorities. You get a mindset of people that will sort out things the way they see it, and the way they would like to do it, and then obviously even get away with it. So in the contract killings, if one contract is in danger with another contract group, they will sort it out violently. And the same in a domestic situation. If a husband and wife can't get to grips with things, they will sort it violently. And the same with children at schools, they would sort it violently amongst themselves. It's a mindset that has actually grown in our country, where people don't do or handle things as matters of discussion, but rather division, and then that division goes along with a violent act. And that's a very big concern. So everywhere, in all facets of our country, we have seen a rise in violence and in criminality. And then obviously, the more money is involved, or the more information, because those are the two main reasons people will be killed, because of information or money, there you will see more deaths and executions.
So, Doc, where are these people? I'm not talking geographically. We can talk KZN and we can talk Gauteng. It's fine. But where are they in terms of their placement in society? So where you're saying you're collecting these guns, where are these individuals? Are they principals in schools? Are they teachers? Are they factory workers? Are they, are they people, when you were doing the mining, illegal mining situation, they hide somewhere in holes out in the mine dumps, or they are found in some kind of settlements. Where are these people who are committing these heinous crimes?
Look, what Mike has said. Look, he said something very important. Before I can say where you can find this these people, that the problem is that many people who commit crime and murder is that there's a lack of conviction. And that is very extremely still, as we're seeing it many times. And also you find that the informers that we use, I mean, we found that in terms of the amount of monies that they actually get is actually very less. That's why, I mean, as the EFF, I think that they actually came up with a very good ideas. If you look into their manifesto, they said, what it needs to do, the EFF said, if really you want to get rid of this crime, number one, you need to ensure that you do what is called, you have a joint operation between SAPS and the police, maybe sometime, and then you can get and do a search and seizure of all these guns. And we must pay these informers because they are being paid peanuts. I mean, if let's say, these informers, we actually plant them everywhere. You find that we must increase the monies that they get. And also we must reward police. Police actually, they don't have, we must reward police which actually crack crime and all of those things. So most of the people that we've seen, look, at the CBD where we were, at the central, you find that, some of the people are staying around in those these buildings that we were doing these inspections on. Some of them in the townships, quite a lot of the people that we actually found in there, but we found that some of the raids, in terms of, drug-related and killings and all of that, the manufacturing and all these organized, high-profile, we can say crimes, you find them in the very sophisticated place like Sentin and all those kind of stuff like that. But you find that people who are really have to distribute things, they have to drive these drugs, or they drive whatever it is which leads to killing. There you find them in the CBD, which is quite, you know, the hotspot at the center of the CBD, Hillbrow, and all those kind of places like literally that. But most of the people that we found have confiscated these guns, and we booked them at the SEPs. We found them at the CBD, and when you trace them where they come from, they're coming from the townships. You come from Tembisa, from them you find them from Soweto, and all of kind of like that. So this is how the thing is at. But we're not going to get away on this thing. When we found that in the report that I've read, in many of them, is find that the way that, I mean, the analysis of crime, you need to have an office, a back office that is there, that is analyzing this thing and actually being proactive more than being, you know, reactive. And one of the things that I suggested in the public safety, of which, if everything goes very well, by the end of this month, we've been talking about a safety awareness, or sort of not as a safety awareness, let's say, an app, or I know that there's a panic button. I don't know how efficient it is, so that people are able to report when they are in the position of when they are in a situation where there's crime and all of that, because we always come afterwards when this murder and crime actually happens, and people, they don't want to talk. For example, this killing that just happened on this lady. You know, we actually still waiting for the report in terms of what is happening, because she was waiting at the bank.
So,
and it looks as if the individual who went inside.
Looking at that, technology was readily available there in that instance, in terms of inside the bus, where there were cameras, and you could certainly be able to follow through on the perpetrator. But why is it that even at this hour, maybe about 24 hours later, you are still unable to locate the perpetrator?
Look, one of the things that I think Mike has spoken about is that I've been trying to, you know, to say, if, let's say, we're able as the municipalities to be given those powers to investigate, because at this point in time, we actually work with self. We can arrest, we can give them information, but the people at that level of us at the municipality is that we can arrest, but we don't have powers to, you know, to have informers, and also to have, you know, investigative powers. But with the TRU, with the TRU unit, what we are busy with now is to trace and first. They visited the family. We are doing it, I mean, on our own initiative, just to help the police. We visited, we're visiting the family, and then secondly, we have to talk to the friends, because we are suspecting that. I mean, this was a hit. Who does this person own? Was there any kind of a syndicate actually happening? Because what used to happen before, I think Mike can agree with this, is that many people, when they're depositing monies in the banks, you will probably have maybe bank assistants, people who are working at the bank, working with the syndicates outside. Then if you draw a lot of money, a large sum of monies, those people, they will follow you.
It's a tip-off situation.
As a tip-off, So we might have we are suspecting that maybe it was a boyfriend issue. That's why we have to think. So we can have two things here, two possibilities: a boyfriend issue, or maybe there's a deal gone wrong, and maybe this individual, maybe we're not sure, that maybe there was this working relationship, but maybe at the end there's no cooperation at all, because this syndicates, they normally work with people at the bank. They say that Mgcini Tshwaku is wearing a red jacket. He has just come out. He has just took out about 100,000. I was actually marked about 10 years ago. I took out about 10,000 rand, and I was actually followed by the car to a place where I stay, and I was actually marked.
Mike, let's bring it in. The MMC raising two issues. One is the issue of capacity to investigate, but two, the issue of the ability to infiltrate the syndicates or the network. Having done some investigating work, how difficult is that?
No, it's actually.
Sorry, MMC. That's for Mike there.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Thanks, man. Look, what my friend has just said is all, once again, in agreement with. The best way to curb crime any nation in the world is if you have a bite in your authorities. In other words, if the criminal must know he is going to be caught. And the only way to really catch criminals is to have proper information. And if you have proper tracking, cybercrime, high-tech equipment, because any and all criminals and syndicates use cell phones and use digital and electronic devices. So if we have proper surveillance, proper informants, as he has said, which we've always said is of the most important, and you have proper information, and you have proper digital and electronic track tracing platform, high-tech elements that you can use, devices, I can tell you now it will curb crime. Secondly, it's no use you catch a guy and he's released. Zero tolerance. There must be a bite in the authorities that crime does not pay. Presently in South Africa, crime pays. So once again, we get to the mindset. You know, people will do, it's unfortunately in human nature to be and to take advantage and to be evil at times. And 20, 30 years ago, people might have thought twice before they got involved in any form of illegal things. But nowadays, people with the slightest possibility will commit insurance fraud. They will, pick up a purse that has fallen to the ground, not giving it back, take the money out and throw maybe the purse away, or even use the credit cards inside. The mindset has changed because people are poor. They become much more unstable due to the instability in our country. And as I've said, they commit crime because they can get away with it. Yeah. And remember, crime begets crime. If you get away with a small crime, you're going to commit a secondary crime, and then more, and then bigger.
All right.
And that's how syndicates and all these groups does exist. So the only way to really curb crime is proper safety and security that really protects and serves with the highest and the best and the newest equipment that can definitely surveil the public, control the public, and have the public in a, let's call it a positive paranoid fear state. Because they know
let me take a break.
They will be caught.
Back live tonight here on In Focus. We asked the question, what the 7th administration coming in needs to prioritize to fight crime. Many parties would have suggested their manifesto policy directions and what needs to happen. But, of course, what we are seeing is that the murder rate continues to be on the rise, guns being the major drivers thereof. MMC, both yourself and Mike agree the type of information that needs to be gathered needs to be top-notch information, reliable type of information. So pay informants, reward police is one of the areas. You spoke about the use of technology. He says also invest in a lot of technology that will let the criminals know that if you do this, you will be caught. Then, of course, convictions is the big thing. So where do we need to pull, from a political point of view now, putting on your political hat, where do we need to pull? What needs to change in terms of policy?
Look, Brata, if you, when we were preparing for the 2024 elections, in my political party, Economic Freedom Fighters, if you go to, let's say, page 65, of the manifesto, read it, it's very thorough. You've got almost, let's say, about 40 points in terms of what needs to be done in terms of crime fighting. We put it there. One of the things that came out, of course, it was the issue of, the informers being rewarded if they give information. They must reward it very handsome so that they give us information. And then the rewarding of the police, the police who are doing investigations and high-level investigations, especially on organized crimes and all this kind of stuff. And then one of the things that we found was also to saying that we must look into putting people, let's say paralegal individual or attorneys, to prepare statements, because some of the statements that are being prepared are not admissible in court. They have been thrown away. I was in Operation Chanela at some point where the minister was there. And he was actually shocked as well that they've done a lot, let's say arrests, 1,000 arrests, but people are sent to jail. It's only 20 people. And some of the people arrested, they actually they are back on the streets because of the lack, these statements are written badly and all of that. And what we also need to do, very, very important, is increase police visibility. I want to appeal that, I want to put it on record and to the public out there, maybe people who are going to be there now. I mean, what we wanted to do as a community was to say to increase police visibility. At this point in time, the police are short of vehicles. They don't respond. They can't be able to respond to, let's say, to arguments or fights that can lead to actually death or all those kind of stuff like that, especially in the townships. It's a known fact. Police need vehicles. There must be, if you also want to at least minimize this violence and all of that, you need to increase police visibility. Hence, that's why when I was sworn in last year, one of the first things we did is to ensure that the fleet contract is approved and we unleash vehicles for the JMPD. As you can see, at least there's an improvement. We are trying to put, we said to them that there be vehicles in each and every intersection. And one of the things we also communicated to saying that if you find individuals with a gun and pointing a gun at an individual, and they know in Johannesburg, actually criminals we don't laugh. You point a gun to the police officer, we drop you. We shoot to kill. That's what we're doing in Johannesburg. That's why also there was an initiative to form a specialized unit. That was critical on the table when I arrived because of the crime, is to have specialized trained police. Those police that now, this JMPD that we have there, they've been trained on tactical reaction. And they are ready to kill if there's anyone pointing a gun at them. So we need to train them as well, thoroughly. And that's why now also in the budget that we've just approved now is to ensure that the IIOC, which is the camera unit, is working proper. We're able to follow. If there's any incident of shooting, we're able to follow individuals. And also that cameras must be equipped what is called artificial intelligence. And they're able to follow individual anywhere where the individual is actually cause crime and all of that.
Facial recognition and all that. So that's the level of tech.
When you get there, it's very important. Maybe Mike can advise on special on that artificial facial, the recognition. There's also now an element of a POPI Act now, where you can't store people's information without them knowing and all those kind of stuff like that. So with these laws, we also entangled ourselves because we are in a process in Johannesburg now. We just allocated a budget upgrading that IOC to put those cameras. We've also joined last year, if you remember, an SLA with Vumacam with 6,500 cameras in the whole city. So it's working quite well. We've got a good, this conviction rate, but it's not enough. And once more, before I stop, there needs to be there must be a joint working relationship proper between the municipal police, even with SEBs, because you cannot have a camera unit in the province, have a camera unit in the city, not talking together. The realignment, a joint operational centers on regional level must be there with all stakeholders who wants to do crime. As we have seen, we have an IOC, province launches its own, they put their own cameras in their own place. And I'm saying, guys, why don't you pull all these resources together? We have them. You want us, you have these helicopters, they go and fight, these Zamazamas. We tell them that we were finishing them, so we can probably take these resources and flood them in the CBD. I don't know why, because if we work together as police and JMPD And I mean, other interested, these stakeholders, we flood the city, we flush out everything.
Right.
Visibility is there, but those are the things that I've seen that are missing with us.
Mike,
in terms of
Mike, let's bring you in here. The question of illegal guns, seemingly also quite a big challenge that we need to deal with. Can the question of illegal guns be dealt with effectively?
Look, it brings us back to, once again, if we as a country, and it must come from government first, which sets the example and must be seen as the go-to guys, as well as the authorities, the police, the hawks, all the authorities in place, they must be seen as an example and as the go-to guys. And then joined by the public, which if they are seen, I'm talking about the authorities and the government as an example, as the go-to guys, being joined by the public, you've got the three main, and that's all you need, segments in South Africa that needs to work together in order to curb, stop crime. In other words, you identify the crime, you investigate the crime, you solve the crime, and you prevent the crime. And if that is not done, the country will keep falling and it will fall, because crime breaks a country. If you take crime today out of the country, we will all have peace. There will be no bloodshed, no any of the things that we've discussed here would be necessary, and not any of the things that we've discussed here will be happening or will be an issue. You will have peace. So crime is the main issue, and the government is the only one who can really put it into place, and they are not doing it, unfortunately. And if they do it, they many a times do it wrong, because I agree with visual policing, but what if they are corrupt? What if they can't even run 100 meters, or shoot straight, or are not trained, or illiterate? Corruption is everywhere in our country, and even in small businesses, and even in homes, and in insurance companies, and at schools, in municipalities, and in the government, because corruption has become a way of life. You give an envelope and you get something in return. That's become the norm. So with these two main things, crime and corruption, if this is not absolutely addressed, we're going to lose our country.
Yeah.
And the government is responsible. They have taken it upon their shoulders to lead this country. You must lead against crime first. If you don't deal with that, you won't even get to any of the other issues.
Right.
If you deal with crime first, you will automatically save nature. You will automatically save the economy. You will automatically save religion. You will save the kids. You will save the families. Yeah. You will save absolutely everything if you deal with crime first.
All right, Mike.
We don't have the equipment. You've heard it. There's no vehicles.
Yeah.
There is no infrastructure. So guns, you'll never stop unless you deal with crime.
Unless you deal with crime, none of it will work. Gentlemen, let me appreciate both of you for coming on this evening. Let's leave it there. That is the MMC for Public Safety in the city of Johannesburg, Dr. Mgcini, Tshwaku, and Mike Bolhuis, Specialist Violent and Economic Crimes Investigator. Let's take a break. What's making news when we return? Stay with us.